It's been 60 years since the landmark Supreme Court decision ending legal segregation in public schools. Brown versus Board of Education proclaimed separate but equal schools are inherently unequal.
We do believe that this decision in itself will encourage the people to take further steps without litigation in many areas.
75% of the plaintiffs in Brown came from a rural community in central Virginia, Prince Edward County, an epicenter of resistance.
Only in Prince Edward County, Virginia, has there been a step backward. Here, 21 public schools have been padlocked by county officials who have, by this action, repudiated our tradition of providing free education for all.
In Prince Edward County, Virginia, in the years 1959 to 1964, the local government did not operate a public school system at all. So everyone who was in school and finished up in the spring semester of 1959, when the fall came, none of those schools were open.
I had 6 siblings that impacted directly, where they didn't get to go to school for either some time. I had to go out of the county to go to school.
My uncle actually had to leave his school, and he had to go to another school somewhere else so he could continue his education when the schools closed.
Prince Edward County Public Schools reopened in 1964 and today are fully integrated with 56% black students, 41% white, and function like any other school system.
We have come a long way, and we are continuing to make changes and improvements in our instructional programs, in our extracurricular programs, and every facet of school life.
I'm very happy that we don't have to live, back then anymore, and everything's changed and it's different.
But where are we today, 60 years later?
American public education has evolved over the past 60 years into essentially a dual system of educational opportunity. On the one hand, there are public schools that are well-financed, that have some measure of diversity, although many do not. The other system is largely the result of concentrated segregation, racial segregation in housing, discrimination in the quality of public education available.
In urban America, there are still challenges to Brown. In Washington, D.C., over 60 public schools have 80% or more black students. In the Los Angeles Unified School District, there are 7 schools, and in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 9 schools with the same percentage or higher. Jessie Ramey is an historian from Pittsburgh.
So our neighborhoods are very much defined by our topography. We've got about 99 neighborhoods in one small city bounded by all of these hills. And because of our distinctive topography, we still have very historic neighborhoods that go back many, many generations. And one of the things that this has done in Pittsburgh has really increased or maintained the nature and character of a lot of those neighborhoods, including the racial composition. So Pittsburgh remains one of the highest, most racially segregated residential cities in the country.
In the suburban neighborhood Mount Lebanon, the population is nearly all white, while in the Hill District, bordering downtown Pittsburgh, the population is heavily black. Pittsburgh Malines University Prep pulls most of its students from the Hill District community.
We have over 90% African American student population, a little closer to 95, maybe 96%. And of that, about 85 to 87% of our students qualify for Title I free and reduced lunch services. As measured by the Pennsylvania Department of Education School Performance Profile, the new measurement for accountability, we are about 49.7 out of 100 possible points.
Please share with a partner what it is that you said.
Today, Lisa Palios-Favola teaches civil rights history in her 9th grade civics class.
For many of our kids, when they go home, there's not someone to help them with homework. When they go home, there's not a quiet space to study. When they go home, they may not, in fact, have the ability to really focus on work, because there are a lot of other issues like, where's their next meal coming from? How cold is it in my house, especially during the winter time? And do I know that I'm safe and secure in that particular home?
A child who starts school without a breakfast, I don't care what quality of teacher he or she may have, that child is not going to function at optimal level.
Right, we've got a couple hundred years worth of American history to tell us there is no such thing as separate but equal. When Governor Corbett took office, he cut $1 billion from public schools in Pennsylvania. And that has the biggest impact on our most struggling kids, students of color, our families living in poverty.
We are funded basically on the taxpayers of the particular regions, and so there will be a lack of equity between a very wealthy district and another district.
I do challenge the school district's commitment or decisions to allocate resources equally, because all students in all schools in our district do not receive equal education, do not receive equal social support, do not receive equal opportunities.
In order to help struggling students in Pittsburgh, the school district is focusing on strong schools with quality educators.
I think that one of the things we really want, that we're striving for, and actually one of our strategic priorities, is getting high-quality teachers to the kids that need them the most.
At Pittsburgh Fulton Elementary, another primarily black school, Sonia Brown teaches 4th grade math.
When you have a staff and a group of teachers that legitimately care about the success of their students, the students are going to be successful. And not just looking at the students, as a paycheck or coming to a job, but when you look at them as your own children. I mean, because that's how I think about my students.
Dr. Lane has set it up where we have a rating scale, whereas some of those teachers who need assistance will receive it, but after receiving that assistance and you're still not doing well, then we start counseling you as to whether or not you should continue in this role as a teacher.
The school, what helps you learn it's in you too. You have to be a hard worker as well. And your teachers have to believe in you to actually achieve your goal.
When you told me what they can do for us is just give us a chance.
These schools may have great teachers, but Brown called for diversity.
Because of segregated residential patterns, it does make it, you have this tension between wanting schools to be racially diverse, but wanting neighborhood schools. And when you have residential segregation, it makes those those two goals are very difficult to meet.
And I honestly believe that diversity plays an important role in providing a quality education for all students. Because learning how to function in a diverse society is absolutely essential in helping to make Americans the global citizens that we must become if we are going to be able to function in a world that is increasingly complex.
Well, I think Brown was an important event for public education for a lot of reasons, but it really stood for the proposition that every child's entitled to a great education. And for us as a national organization, I think that continues to inspire and guide our work.
We have an obligation to bring heat to the table to promote the kind of change that we want to see happen in American life. And that's, I think, one of the legacies of the Brown decision, to recognize that the fight is by no means over, that Brown was merely as important as it was. It was one of the milestones worthy of recognition, whose principles have helped to shape the past 60 years in a way for the better, but that the next 60 years will be based as much on our ability to organize our resources and to organize the political pressure that we have helped achieve for ourselves. And that is the necessary ingredient to produce the kind of change we want.